Good morning, children. This is Miss Luna Prasad. Now we are back to our video classes after the exams, and this is the 7th video class. Now I shall be teaching you the respiratory system of man. Now, gaseous exchange takes place through the surface of our lungs, which lies in the thoracic cavity. And the upper respiratory tract consists of a tube-like structure from the nasal passages and the mouth with the help of the trachea into the lungs. And these lungs, they lie in the thoracic cavity. Now this is the thoracic cavity, and it is separated from the abdominal cavity with the help of a thin muscular structure, which is known as the diaphragm. You have learnt earlier about the diaphragm. So there is a thin muscular structure separating the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, and the lungs, they lie in the thoracic cavity. Now these are the various parts of the respiratory system in the upper part of our bodies. This is the left nostril, then the palate. When we take food in our mouth, the upper part of the mouth cavity, it is known as, above the tongue, it is known as the palate. Now mouth you all know. Now epiglottis is a muscular structure. When you open your mouth cavity, at the back you find a small muscular structure that is called the epiglottis. And the glottis is there. You will learn about it. I will tell you what it is. So here is the glottis. This is the epiglottis. These are the vocal cords, the trachea. This is the thoracic cavity. This is the right lung. Here is the heart. And this side, the labels are pharynx. Esophagus is the food pipe that you know. And larynx, that is the voice box. These are the ribs over here. Left bronchus, then the bronchioles, alveoli, and diaphragm I've told you. Now when we inhale air by the system of breathing, which is a physical process you've learnt earlier, oxygen reaches our lungs where gaseous exchange takes place. Now how this oxygen goes? Okay, what are the different parts? We will learn how this process of exchange of gases take place. Oxygen, when we breathe in air, it enters through the nostrils. So here are the nostrils inside our nose. Now these nostrils, there are two in number. These nostrils, they are having a lining of hair. Plenty of fine small hair is present in the nostrils, and they have a special function. Now what is it? It traps the dust particles and the bacteria present in the air which is entering our bodies. So what it does, it filters the air and then allows that air to go into the lungs. Another thing is that it moistens also the air. It moistens the air also, and also it brings the air into the normal body temperature. The air which is having a different temperature is brought to the normal body temperature when it enters our nostrils. So this air via the nostrils, it goes at the back of the mouth. Okay. Now here it enters the pharynx. Now pharynx is an opening of both the air passage and also the food. So it has got dual function, the pharynx. It has got the windpipe also and the food pipe also. Now from the pharynx, what happens? It culminates into the trachea. The upper part of the trachea, it is called the glottis. And this glottis is there here covered by the epiglottis. Now when we swallow in food, when we take in food and we swallow that up, so the food should not go, it is a common passage. This pharynx, it is a common passage. Food should not go into the air pipe or the windpipe. The windpipe here, it is the upper part of the trachea. Here it is the windpipe. So food should not enter the windpipe. Now to prevent, and this upper part of the trachea, it is called the glottis. The mouth of the trachea, it is called the glottis, and food should not go into it. So in order to prevent the food from entering the windpipe, there is a muscular organ, the epiglottis, which is present, and it covers the glottis. That is the windpipe, the upper part, it covers the glottis. And then the food just goes through the esophagus. Here is the esophagus, okay, the food pipe. And then it will go into the stomach later on. The food will go, but the food will not enter the windpipe. Now this air enters the nostrils via the pharynx through the glottis into the trachea. Now the windpipe has got the many, cartilages which prevent it from subsiding. So it remains swollen all the time, so that the wind always goes in and out nicely without any obstruction. Now when the air is going, here there is it has to pass through the voice box or the larynx. The lower part of the pharynx, it is called the larynx, which is the voice box. Now the voice box has two pairs of vocal cords, and these vocal cords, they help in producing the sound in both men and women. But it so happens that in men, during the time of adolescence, the vocal cords, they vibrate as usual, but it comes in front, it protrudes a little here, okay, it protrudes a little bit. In only men you will find that. And from outside also, the throat, when you see of adolescent boys and men, there is a protrusion in front. So this is called the Adam's apple. Here. And this larynx, which is known as the voice box and has the vocal cords, it works like a stringed instrument. When air goes in and we want to speak something, it produces the sound. But it doesn't have any respiratory function. Although it is in the respiratory tract, it does not have any respiratory function. So the air passes through the larynx into the trachea. And the trachea is a tubular structure, and then it bifurcates, that is divides into two, and these two structures, they are called the bronchi and singular bronchus. And both these two tubes, after the bifurcation of the trachea in the lower part, both the tubes enters each lung. So, and this takes place in the thoracic cavity. So long the air was passing in through the mouth and the nostrils through the throat, and now it has entered the thoracic cavity where the lungs are present. Now these lungs, they are dark pink in color. They are moist and they are lobed structures. 3 lobes in the right lung we have, and they are not uniform. 3 lobes are there in the right lung, and in the left lung there are 2 lobes. Now what happens to this bronchus? When it has entered each lung, it divides more and more, and these divisions of the bronchus, they are known as bronchioles. Okay, it further divides, and they end up into small sac-like structures, which is called the alveoli. Single is alveolus, and these are the units of the lungs. The alveoli is the functional unit of the lung. It is a sac-like structure. So when we engulf air, it will get inflated. It will bulge out. Oxygen will enter the lungs and it gets inflated. And what happens, each alveolus, it has got plenty of blood capillaries. Full of blood capillaries. For what? For exchange of gases. So as the oxygen goes into the lungs, the alveoli, they get inflated, and the oxygen, it diffuses into the blood capillaries. Okay, and inside the blood capillaries there is hemoglobin present in the red blood corpuscles. So this oxygen combines with the hemoglobin of our RBCs, that is red blood corpuscles, and then through the blood stream, that is the circulatory system, the oxygen is diffused into the whole of our bodies, into our complete body system, right from the head, the scalp, till the tip of the toes. The oxygen is carried via the circulatory system. And at the same time, what will happen? That carbon dioxide, after respiration of tissues, they will diffuse, they will come through the various tissues into the lungs, and again the same process of diffusion, via the same process of diffusion, the carbon dioxide gets into the blood capillaries and then into the lungs, and then when we exhale air, the carbon dioxide is, that is the foul air, is exhaled out. Now you will be surprised to know that there are around 300 million alveoli in both our lungs. How many alveoli? 300 million alveoli. So many is the number for a good system functioning in our bodies, that is the respiratory system. And they bring about a surface cover through which exchange of gases take place, 90 square meters or 90 meters square. The complete coverage of the exchange of gases takes place through such a vast area if we couple them, join them all together. Okay? Now, you must have understood all this, how the air is going from the nostril here. This is the palate in the mouth, the nostrils here. It is carrying the air into the pharynx, and from the pharynx the esophagus is there, and the pharynx, that is the food pipe, and the windpipe is there. Then the windpipe, through that the air is going into the trachea, then it is going via the bronchus into the lungs. And this is how the whole function of our respiration takes place. In the thoracic cavity, this is the right lung, this is the left lung. So we make the diagrams in this way only, not that while you are drawing, this is the right, this is not the right. When we see the diagram, it is how man is there represented in a diagram. So this is the right lung, this is the left lung. And these are the various, so many tubes of the bronchus. They are known as bronchioles, and they end up in alveoli, and the separation of the thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity is done with the help of the muscular thin flap called the diaphragm. So children, this is all for today. So I hope you have understood this respiratory system of man. You must remember that these vocal cords are present both. There are two pairs present across the trachea over here. It is known as the larynx or the voice box. They have no respiratory function, but they are present in the respiratory system. They have the function of sound. And the Adam's apple is present only in the adult boys and men, and it's not present in the females. So you will go through the chapter nicely and prepare. Okay, that's all. Thank you.